Okay, MegaWhale team, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. In today's video, we are taking a look at the macro and short-term charts, discussing the most important high time frame levels and technical indicators you need to be paying attention to moving into the remainder of this month. We'll also be diving deep into the short-term price action, going over exactly what is happening, what occurred over the past 24 hours, the significance of that recent pullback, and what is likely to occur next for Bitcoin. Before we do get into the video, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos for Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. If that is the kind of content you are interested in, join us on Telegram. It is the first link down below. You'll get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop of cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and the relevant economic news. And if you were interested in taking your trading to the next level, you can join us in the VIP group. We post trading setups such as this Ethereum short with exact entries, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more. You'll also get access to all of our group chats, our general chat, our trading chart education chat, our news, help, daily video, and trade setup chat. If that is what you're interested in, to join nearly 700 members, contact me in the pinned comment of the free channel by clicking my name. The VIP channel does have a trading track record. You can check it out, and a video showing you all about it. A quick note, the VIP channel has been around for 40 months now, so over 3 years. We've recorded our exact trades for every single month. You can find that in that trading track record. Let's go ahead, guys, and jump into the video. So as we can see, over the past 24 hours, Bitcoin saw a little bit of a correction toward the downside. In fact, we saw a flash correction as a result of the loss of that 57.3k level. In fact, we talked about that in yesterday's post on Telegram. We said a loss of 57.3 will likely result in a fast move towards 56,000. And we saw that exact move play out about 10 to 15 minutes later. We have since seen a bounce from that critical support at 56,000. Again, 56,000 is going to be that sell side liquidity level, that flash correction we saw while moving within that horizontal range before we saw that continuation toward the upside. We have come down and retested this level as support. And in doing so, we have developed somewhat of a descending channel formation. We'll be discussing this in more detail. But as of now, Bitcoin has been bouncing and it is currently retesting that $58,000 level. Moving over to the market data, we'll come back to Bitcoin. 24-hour volume is up 40% at 138 billion. 24-hour liquidation is up 80% at 181 million. Of the 181 million in liquidations, 119 million have come from longs and 62 million have come from shorts. Looking at the broader markets and DXY, the DXY has seen a short-term correction over here. We were looking for a little more move toward the upside to retest this yearly uptrend. It doesn't seem like it has done that. We are looking now again for a loss of that prior low, now sell side liquidity, that retest of January 2024, before we then expect that next move toward the downside. The overall macro trajectory of the DXY at the moment is still going to be in this macro downward direction. We have, of course, lost a critical level, which is going to be that yearly diagonal uptrend of that symmetrical triangle formation. For the DXY to then open up this entire range below, we need to lose that local low we have developed as support. A loss of that level at 100.5 will likely result in a strong correction over the coming months towards that low to mid 90 region. This could spark a strong move for risk assets. Keep this in mind. The DXY does drop. We see money flow into the asset market. So that is going to be potentially pretty bullish. What we would not like to see is the DXY reclaim and get back above this symmetrical triangle formation, marking that as deviation, as then we would be expecting a retest of the range high. That would be, on the alternative side, very bearish for risk assets. Moving over to the S&P 500, we have seen a little bit of a weekly correction here on the S&P 500. Of course, some Nvidia stock news have come out, which isn't really looking too good in terms of what is happening there. They are being investigated, and of course with that we have seen a bit of a correction, with the Nvidia stock being a massive portion of the US stock market right now. So a bit of a correction there for the broader stock market. We did talk about the fact that we were seeing some weakness develop on the S&P 500 with these smaller body candles developing. This was a sign of gradually decreasing bullish strength moving into our local resistance, and we discussed that this opportunity here would not be the place to long. For directional continuations upwards, which is still expected, we would need to see this prior high break first. Only a breakout of that prior high would then result in a continuation. Until then, we are still within this horizontal chop range, and we could see retests of these lows prior to continuations and breakouts. The two levels we need to be really watching is going to be that prior high and that prior low at 53,000. Everything else between here is sideways chop. It is irrelevant price action. On the short term, it's important, but on the macro, it plays little to no influence on the expectations of the macro direction unless these resistance or supports are broken. With that being said, guys, let's jump into Bitcoin. We have a whole bunch to discuss. Before we do, if you are interested in supporting the channel even more, join and sign up to the exchanges down below, BitGet, BitUnix, and BingX. You'll get a lifetime trading fee discount of 15%. Which is massive, and of course that stacks on top of all the other bonuses you do get, such as the sign-up bonuses, and of course the up to 45% in trading fee discounts based on your trading volume. So that's like 60% discounts on trading volume, depending on how much trading volume you actually do execute on these exchanges. Go ahead and sign up down below. We'll play a quick ad and jump back into the video. We'll see you in a moment. I'd like to introduce our partner, BitUnix. BitUnix is a global, non-KYC, no country restriction exchange, making it a perfect exchange to trade on if you're from the USA, from Canada, the Netherlands, or just prefer to trade without KYC. This exchange is a futures and spot exchange with over 200 different trading pairs, and some of the lowest fees in the game. If you sign up with my link down below, you'll get access to 15% off your trading fees, as well as an exclusive reward center where you can claim up to a multitude in USDT prizes. So go ahead and sign up with my link down below for 15% off, and I'll see you in there. Okay guys, let's go ahead and get stuck back into it. So as we've said, we have two real topics of discussion today. The most important levels you should be paying attention to on the macro charts, and our second topic being the short-term price action, what is happening and what to expect next. So let's start on these macro charts. As we can see, this is going to be our 3-day chart for Bitcoin. And on the 3-day chart, there are two technical indicators we're paying very close attention to. And these technical indicators essentially line up when it comes to the invalidation points. They line up almost perfectly. And this is going to be the Gaussian channel indicator, which you can see as this major green red channel that moves through the price action. It is a good representation of not only the volatility of the price action, the general direction of the price action, but we can also use the Gaussian channel to mark out points in which the trend is starting to shift and has officially shifted. We'll come back and discuss that. And of course, the Ichimoku cloud, which provides a very similar consensus about the price action, but we can identify momentum as well as the Ichimoku cloud if we use the lag and span. But the two levels I want you to pay attention to, and the two indicators on the 3-day chart, is going to be the Ichimoku cloud and the Gaussian channel. The particular points we are really watching out for is going to be on the Ichimoku cloud and on the Gaussian channel, this price point of around 56,200. And the reason we're looking at this so clearly is because this lines up with the lower band of the Ichimoku cloud as well as the lower band of the Gaussian channel. You can see how these points are kind of converging and they're almost touching each other absolutely perfectly. Now, what we notice historically and what we can say by general assessment of these indicators is that when we break below the lower band of the Gaussian channel as well as the lower cloud of the Ichimoku cloud, that will be a pivot in the trend. That will be a point of which identifies a shift in the direction of the macro trend. So generally when we break below these levels, we see the overall high time frame trend shift direction, which would indicate a loss of this low point at 56.2, okay, on the 3-day chart, we're on a 3-day chart, could result in a macro downtrend developing. Now, the reason I say it could result in a macro downtrend developing is because there's more to the direction of the trend than just the indicators. The indicators would suggest we have entered a downtrend in the high time frame, but the macro downtrend, the macro direction of the price action, we do need to break below critical areas of horizontal support, such as this level at 49,000. This is really that last level of support for Bitcoin. If we lose 49,000, we are officially in a technical bear market. We would technically be in a bear market if we lose 49,000. So until then, guys, we are in a strong uptrend. We are in a very long spanning uptrend. All of our indicators, whether we're on the 3-day chart or higher, are suggesting Bitcoin is still in the uptrend, but we are in this 5-month long consolidation. If we drop below these levels, I would be very cautious. Now, the reason we are discussing these levels as a point of significance is because we can actually use these price points as confluence on the short term as justification as to why we will not believe the price to sustain under 56,000, and it's actually part of the reason we discussed why we expected 56,000 to be a rebound point, as because we know that below 56,000 would result in the price action closing underneath these levels of support on the technical chart, which we do not believe to be likely, as the macro structure of this trend is going to be a bullish structure. It is a descending channel formation in a macro uptrend. So we can use these indicators as not only confluence when it comes to our short-term trading, but justification to identify key pivoting points for the macro price action. Keep that in mind, guys. The next one we want to be taking a look at is on the weekly chart. The next indicator we are focusing on here is going to be the RSI. And we've discussed this a few times, but the RSI has some massive implications, particularly if we start to see that momentum flip positive. We can see here that this is our downtrend, a representation of the momentum over the last 5 months. Our RSI breaking through this trend line would simply signify momentum has shifted from negative to positive. In essence, we would have strength on the weekly chart for the first time in 5 months, which could facilitate a continuation through the channel, or at least to retest the range high. Very prominent, very bullish if it occurs. On the flip side, we can also use the RSI as a bearish validation. If we see the price, or the RSI, should I say, drop below this prior low point, which is marked by our retest in September 2023, a drop below that region would tell us momentum is aggressively turning more and more bearish. It is picking up bearish momentum, bearish strength, whatever word you want to use, which could influence the price action in a downward trajectory as a consequence of the price action being overextended in comparison to where the momentum was at this point in time. So a correction could follow suit. And finally, the last level we want to be paying attention to on the weekly in regards to our technicals is going to be on the 2-week chart. And this is going to be the baseline of the Ichimoku cloud. Once more, you can see how this level lines up perfectly with this horizontal support at 49,000, a loss of the baseline. You can see we've been in an uptrend above it. We are in a downtrend below it. So we know that above the baseline of the 2-week, we are in a macro uptrend. We are good, we are bullish. Below, we are negative, we are bearish. So provided we sustain 49,000, the macro expectations are upwards. If we drop below, that would be the macro bearish validation. That would be when we expect the price action to drop significantly lower, guys. So pay attention to all of that. Sorry, I got something in my foot over there. Dropped a piece of glass on the floor before. It looks like I just stepped on it. I'll be okay. Moving on. Jumping into the short-term price action over here, we can see Bitcoin has retested that 56,000 point. We are seeing a little bit of chop still going. There's a lot of chop going in the short-term price actions that look sketchy, the higher time frames looking better. When we zoom out and get a good picture of what is happening, it becomes more clear. Here are the objective facts and the realities of the chart. For Bitcoin to see a strong move downwards to retest the range low, which is going to be the 54 to 52,000 region, we would need to fail to sustain above 56. So a 4-hour close below 56 would result in a strong correction. Until then, this is going to be our base of support, not only in the short term, but our proposed base of support on the macro chart as per our 3-day Ichimoku and Gaussian channel. Now, that doesn't mean Bitcoin is out of the woods. Bitcoin is still in a short-term downtrend. This is going to be our descending channel formation, a representation of the price action over the course of the last 2 weeks, a downtrending parallel trend line on the lower and upper region ranges of the price action. For Bitcoin to break this trend and flip bullish, and thus we would expect continuations into that 61.5, potentially even higher, we are first going to need to break out of this descending channel. Thus, a break of the descending trend line would be a requirement, and a break of that 50 EMA and cross of the 50 EMA would be ideal. That would be an indication that strength is turning back to the bulls and the price action will likely continue. If we take a measured move of the descending channel formation, apply it to the breakout, you can see that would roughly take us to retest that prior area of resistance, that range high. So again, we are expecting continuations to that range high, provided we break that 50 MA. That has been a constant thing we've been talking about. We break the 50 MA on the 4-hour, we expect continuations, and we do have pending orders. When that 50 MA breaks, we will be expecting that next move to trigger and for the price to rise into that level. Until then, the short-term price action is still looking a little choppy, a little sketchy. And as we know, we have some major economic news events coming up. I'm not going to go through them this month, which can massively influence the direction of the price action. So it is best to remain cautious. If we move down to a 5-minute chart over here, we can see some absorption occurring on the short term. We have, again, I'm just going to go ahead and delete everything just to make this a little more clear. There we go. We can see, of course, we had that flash correction. We had that neckline of resistance develop. Again, we broke through that neckline of resistance. This was a horizontal range, of course, we developed. We broke through that region. We saw a strong continuation upwards past even these local highs. So we've seen a strong move upwards. Bitcoin now is by far a very strong bounce. Since then, we have seen the price action slowly start to die off. Again, we are moving more and less sideways over here with these uptrends developing some sort of symmetrical triangle formation. What we can notice is that the RSI is dropping, but the price action is actually creating these higher lows. This is an indication of absorption, telling us that this trend over here that is developing is actually relatively bullish. We are seeing some strength develop as the price action is pushing sideways, as we have absorption developing on the RSI. If we were to see this level break down, we would then expect corrections possibly to fill that BRPV gap all the way down to retest 56.8. Watch that level. If we break above this resistance, that could be the move that sparks the continuation. Let's go back to our channel to retest that range high of the channel. That is it, guys. We'll leave it there. Have a fantastic day. We'll catch you in the next video. See you then.